Hi guys, I'm Danica and this is Couponing and Cooking with the Gabb. Now for today, I'm going to make glazed turkey ham with greens with smoked turkey meat in it. And then also I'm going to make some, a kind of a little plate off of hot water cornbread. And then I'm going to be making red beans and rice. Okay guys, now for this part, I'm just going on and starting the smoked meat that I use for my greens. And smoked meat usually takes maybe about 3 to 4 hours to cook. So that is going to be the first thing that I'm going to do today. So I did get, well, this is actually from last month. I did get a pack of smoked meat. This is smoked turkey. And if you're a pork eater, you can use ham hocks, or you can also use bacon if you wanted to. You could use turkey bacon, but I like the smoked flavor. You can use turkey tails. You can use turkey necks, whatever you wanted to do, but I just used the turkey, either drumsticks or the drum pieces. So this is just drum pieces right here from Smart and Final that I got in a haul. If you guys remember that haul video, it was about $4. So I'm just doing it the quick way, and I'm only using canned greens. I'm not using like just picking my greens and doing it the super long way. Today we're going to do it the shortened way. So we're going to boil these for about maybe 3 or 4 hours. So these are kind of small, that came from Smart and Final. So I'm going to put, actually, I think I'm going to go ahead and put all of these in here because they're super small. At first when I looked at it, it didn't look like I needed more than 2. But now that I'm opening the package, it looks like I need them all. Okay, so this is my measuring cup, and this is about 4 cups of water, just about, but I'm going to put more than that in there as well. Way more than that. I'll say about 12 cups should probably do it. I'm only using the measuring cup just to show you guys. Usually I eyeball this. I eyeball a lot of stuff. Just because that was the way I was taught to cook. Was just eyeballing. We didn't really use exact measurements. So that should be enough because they're pretty small. So that was about 12 cups right there. And then I'm just going to turn that on high and then go ahead and just put a top over it. And that's going to go ahead and start your smoked meat. Now, once that is done, then we're going to add in everything else. But this needs to boil about 3 to 4 hours. So we'll be back in just a moment. Okay, now for this part, guys, I'm going to just be slicing up my turkey ham. And these are just the Genio ones. Just bought, and I opened the package and rinsed them in cold water and just put them in a bowl right here, if you guys can see that. And I'm just going to slice these up because these are going to be glazed. Now, this is what I usually do for my holidays, but this is going to end up being just for Sunday dinner because it's quick and simple for me. I guess because I've done it for so long, it's quick and simple. And I'm just slicing these and just, I guess you could call these sandwich slices, I guess. Something to that effect. What is that, about maybe 2 centimeters, I guess you would call it. But yeah. So I'm just going to go ahead and slice up. I have 2 of them. So I'm going to slice both of them up and put them in a casserole. And I'll show you that part. Drop that in the sink, and then here is my casserole. So I'm going to just start this off. I'm not going to completely finish it yet until I get a little bit further along with my greens. So I'm just going to start laying them in. Now, with slicing, you can do a full glazed turkey ham if you wanted to, but with slicing them, they seem to last a bit longer for like sandwiches or leftovers or something like that. And then also the glaze does go down in them a lot better that way. And then I'll show you guys how I'm going to glaze them in just a moment. This one's thinner. So we'll put him over there. And get a thicker piece for in the middle. Now I just did 2 small layers, and then we're going to do the glaze right after this. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and start my glaze. Now what I'm going to do is just use 1 stick of margarine, or if you have butter, I'd use a half a stick because of course butter is butter is more rich than margarine. And then I'm going to add brown sugar to this. For measurements, I'd say about, depends on how many turkey hams you have. If you have just the 2, I do about 2 cups. Because the way that I do mine, I layer it. So 2 cups should be just fine. So this right here is just about, and I'd say pack it down. Because when you're baking, they tell you pack or unpack. I'll say pack. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and just turn that on. And then let that go ahead and start melting. I need another spoon. I'm going to put this one in the sink. I'm going to use this one for my glaze. Then we're done with all of this part. And then I'm going to straighten up and I'll be right back with you guys. Okay guys, now it's time for the next part. We're going to go ahead and get started with the red beans and rice. I'm going to start a pot. This is about, let's see, I have a family of 4. And they have a pretty large appetite. So, it's about maybe about 4 cups of rice. Like I said in my previous video, I'm not really great with measurements. So that's around about 4 cups of rice. And then I just cover it with water and cut it on. And that's it for that part. Okay, now for the next part, I'm going to go ahead and put on my red beans. So I do have these 2 cans. Now, this one I've had a while, and this one is brand new. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this one because this is the last of it. And then I'm going to go ahead and add this one with it. And these are dark red kidney beans. And they are canned. If you wanted to do dry beans, you would soak them for maybe about 4 to 5 hours. Or you could just soak them overnight and then pour the water off in the morning. Or just go ahead and cook them from there. And then that cooking time is a whole lot longer. So this is going to be the quick way. Now after I have my beans in, I'm going to go ahead and add my seasoning. I'm going to turn them on. Now because these are canned beans, they're not going to take a really long time to cook. So my seasoning is always seasoned salt, garlic powder, onion powder, black pepper, and crushed pepper. And I always just do it to taste. If you wanted to gauge it or call it anything, I'd say maybe a teaspoon and I'd say maybe a teaspoon and a half of both, but I was taught to eyeball. And then if you need more seasoning after it really starts coming to a boil, then you can always add later. And then as I always say, we like hot food. So you guys might see me use a little bit more crushed pepper or things that have spice. If you guys don't like spice, you don't have to add it. Now to this, because I'm doing it the quick way, usually I'll chop up some or dice up some onion and put in there some yellow onion. But today I'm going to just use chopped onion, just dried. Just to be a little bit quicker. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and stir it out a bit. And then after this, you just put the top on it and just let it boil. Okay, now let's go ahead and check on our smoked turkey and see how it's doing. It has come to a roaring boil, and it's been on about close to 3 hours. So I just wanted to check it to see how it was going. Let me grab my spoon. Now, you know it's done when it starts cracking. So it has started cracking a little bit. I'm trying to grab a piece so that you guys can see it. So you can see right here that it has started separating from the bone and cracking a bit. So it's coming up to its where it needs to be for its doneness. So for me, I would let this boil maybe another hour to an hour and a half. But I would say maybe an hour, and then start putting your greens and everything together, and then let that go for another maybe 30, 45 minutes. That's better said. So that's what we're going to do today. Okay, so now the glaze is starting to melt down just a little bit, if you guys can see that. So now that it's melting, I'm going to go ahead and add just a little bit, I'll say a half a teaspoon of vanilla to this. Okay, and then we're just going to continue to stir this. And this is going to go in between each layer of the turkey ham. See, it's melting down really, really well. It doesn't take long for it to go. Just a few minutes, like maybe 6, 7 minutes at the most for it to really start melting down. And you just continue to stir it. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and grab the turkey ham that's, I put down, I showed you guys the first layer I put down, and then I just put foil over it and put it in the refrigerator until the smoked turkey meat boiled a little bit longer. So now I'm going to pull that out and start going ahead and layering the glaze in between each part. Okay, here's my casserole here, so I'm going to go ahead and just put this to the side because I'm going to reuse that once I get ready to put it in the oven. Now I'm going to also go ahead and preheat my oven to 400 degrees. And this can go ahead and be turned off. I'm done with the glaze part. And I'm just continue to stir it just a little bit. Your pot is hot, so it doesn't have to be on to continue to melt down any remaining little pieces of butter. Okay. Now you don't need a whole lot in between each layer because it's going to spread. Okay, that's enough right there. I don't want to mess over my stove. And then I'm going to go ahead and lay down the next layer. Okay, that's going to go ahead and take care of the remaining part of that. So I pretty much did that 3 times. And then, like I said, once you put it in the oven, it is going to spread. Okay, so that's the end of that. And you can smell the vanilla in it. Okay, now I'm just going to cover this with foil and get it in the oven. So about time this gets done, we should have our greens done. And I'd say bake this. It depends on your oven and then elevations and different things like that, what part of the world you're in or United States you're in, on your times for your oven. But I have an electric stove, so my time will be maybe on this about an hour and a half or maybe about an hour 20. So that should be fine because I only did 3 layers and it's a glass pan on the bottom rack next to the element. So about maybe an hour and 20 minutes should do it. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and dice up this onion. Now, for today, I'm not using yellow onion. I'm going to go ahead and use red onion. One reason is because I've had this one a little bit and it needs to go. Red onion, all it does is just add a little bit more tang. Yellow onion is a little bit more mild. And this is going to go in my greens. You could, I mean, if you wanted to use it for your red beans and rice, you could. But I'm kind of accustomed to using yellow onion for that. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is make a thickening for the red beans and rice because I did re-season them, the same seasoning, black pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, and seasoned salt. I didn't put any more crushed red pepper in it because it had enough. So it's ready to go now because it was just canned beans, so it doesn't take that long. So when I make thickening, some people use flour. I am accustomed to cornstarch. Why? It comes together like so much more quickly, and then it doesn't clump up like a flour would. Okay, so you don't need a lot. I only use 2 cans. Let me see if I can get a measurement for you guys. Like right now. And I did not drain the cans either because the juice that's in the can, it is a little bit of thickening itself. So I kind of just keep that. So what I'm going to do is, just want to make sure you guys can see. I'm going to turn my faucet on a slow drizzle. And just a bit at a time. Just catch just a little bit at a time. Kind of like how you make pancake batter. And it's going to be a little tough to stir at first, but then it's going to break itself down. You can always add more, but you can't take it out. So that's why I say just a bit and stir. A bit and stir. Actually, I don't think I need any more. And then this is what it looks like. Let me see if I can get it where you guys can see it. See? Just like that. That's all you need. Okay, so we're going to add this to our red beans right now. And I'm actually, let me see. I guess you could call this 1/4 of a cup. And actually, I'm not going to use all of this. I'm going to just drizzle it in. Hopefully, you guys can see that. Just a bit at a time. Like I said, you can add it, but you can't take it out. Because the thickening from the can, like the juice, whatever they have in the can is just fine by itself. But I always like to add a little bit more. And then once you add it, go ahead and stir it really well in there. You'll see the white, but then it'll just disappear the more you stir. And I kind of like to use the spoon that I use to make the thickening because it'll add a little bit more cornstarch to the beans. And then I don't have to pour anymore either. And then if you guys can see that, because this is going to go over rice. So you don't want it like super duper thick where you can't even stir it. But this is a great consistency right here. So that you'll have some kind of a gravy or a juice or something to go over your rice. Okay, let's go ahead and move back on to back to our greens. Okay, now let's go ahead and move on with the greens because the smoked meat is ready. So what I'm going to do now is start adding everything else. So this is Margaret Holmes just a can of fancy spinach. I'm going to add this, just 1 can. And like I said, this is couponing and cooking. So you guys who follow me on Couponing at its Finest Facebook, in our group, on Instagram, and also on YouTube. You guys saw this in my Dollar Tree haul video. And then the Glory Greens, these are from Dollar General, from that haul video. So I'm going to add 2 cans. Now this is turnip greens. I like mixed greens, but this is all they had that day. So this is what we're going to use today. Okay, let me go ahead and get rid of these cans because they're in my way. Okay, now we're going to add in the red onion that we chopped just a second ago. And this is not a whole onion. This is a half. The other half is in a Ziploc bag in the refrigerator to go on sandwiches or whatever. Or if I feel like putting it in something else. Okay, so we have all that in. Let's stir this down just a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to add 2 bouillon cubes. It doesn't matter what brand. Now, if you guys do not have bouillon, then go ahead and use broth. This is beef bouillon. So you would use beef broth instead. And I would say no more than a can. You don't need that much. Okay, and then it's my same house seasoning. Seasoned salt, garlic powder, onion powder, black pepper, crushed pepper. Now, in addition to that, I will be adding soul food seasoning, and I'll show you that in one moment. And I usually season my greens 2 to 3 times, and I taste in between. I let it come to a boil, and then I'll just taste in between, just to make sure. So you can add your seasoning to taste. But this is just super quick greens, especially it's coming up to Easter. So a lot of people are trying to prepare to get everything for their Easter dinner. So this is an option if you just wanted to cut corners. It depends on how I feel or what I'm doing. I do a lot of YouTube videos. I run a Facebook group. I also am a mother of 2 teenagers. So my daughter this Wednesday will be 18. And then my son, he'll be 16 this year. And then here's the soul food seasoning right here. I'm going to use not a lot, because soul food seasoning does also have salt in it, so I don't want a lot of it. That's enough right there. And then I'll let it boil down, and then I'll taste it. I have a cat, I have a husband, so I'm a wife, I'm a mother, YouTuber, Instagram. I run the Facebook group. I also have a team of 7. So if you guys are not familiar with couponing and you're just joining me for these cooking videos, have a look at my Instagram and check us out on Facebook. And then also go to Couponing at its Finest YouTube channel and check out some of my videos there. I also have a coupon tutorial in there if you're brand new to couponing. And then I answer all questions. I'm not like other YouTubers or Instagrammers where you ask a question and you never get an answer. I check and have everything. So you'll always get an answer from me. Okay, so let's let this go ahead and come back to a boil, and then we'll check on it later, and then we'll check on our turkey ham as well. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and do my cornbread, and I'm going to be using, well, this is Kroger brand yellow cornmeal. So I always use on whether it's Quaker or store brand, they always have quick cornbread like the recipe on the side. I've never memorized it. I always just go off the recipe and just make the cornbread itself. Like I said, I'm doing a play off of hot water cornbread. For hot water cornbread, you make it, but you don't use milk and different things like that in it. You use just straight hot water instead, and you make it into a ball, but we'll go ahead and go over that in just a moment. So let me go ahead and get the base of the cornbread together. all mixed together. Now, the ingredients that you guys saw me put in was 3/4 of a cup of cornmeal. And then I used 1 1/4 of a cup of all-purpose flour. And then it does say 1/4 of a cup of sugar. You can add that if you want. I omitted it because I'm not going to use 1/4 of a cup. I'm going to probably use a little bit less than that because certain people eat certain things a certain way in my home. But you can add the sugar. That's optional. Okay, 2 teaspoons of baking powder. And make sure you guys are using teaspoons and not tablespoons. Okay, 1/2 a teaspoon of salt is also optional. I opted not to put that in. And then I did do 1 cup of milk, 1 egg beaten, and 1/4 cup of, it says vegetable oil or drippings, but I use corn oil pretty much for everything. So, so yeah, that's what that is. So that's just the basis of cornbread. So now that it's all mixed together, I'm going to go ahead and set this to the side, and then I'm going to check on my red beans to make sure that they are seasoned well. Okay, guys. Our greens are at a roaring boil, as you guys can see. And then we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. So I went ahead and I have just a regular medium skillet with maybe about 1/3 of a cup of corn oil. Like I said, I do everything with corn oil. And I'm going to go ahead and get ready to do my little cornbread pancake-ish things. So I'm going to just stir this up a little bit more. I'm going to do a little bit at a time because I don't want them big. Because they're going to spread because there's baking powder in there. Spread them out just a bit. And I don't want them super thick either. If you make them too big, they're going to be ridiculous to try to turn. You can see they're frying up really well already. And you see they kind of spread it on their own a bit too. And then also, guys, I did put just maybe a good tablespoon or 1.5 tablespoons, I'll say, of sugar in here. Because like I said, everybody eats differently. Some people like sugar, some people don't. So I didn't want to do too terribly much. So I just did about 1.5 tablespoons of sugar, and I mixed that in as well. Now, if you do put too much sugar in here, they are going to turn very dark brown. So you don't want them to do that either. So just a small amount. Now, these are going to cook pretty much like pancakes. Once you guys start seeing bubbles in there, then it's about time to turn. About 6 to 7 minutes, maybe 8. So I'll show you guys when it's time for them to turn. Okay, now as you can, I'm not sure if you guys can see it or not, but there's bubbles in here like pancakes, so it's about ready to turn. I'm not a pro, and I'm not going to pretend to be. And yes, this is very, very hot, but I've been cooking so long I don't really feel it that much anymore. That one did get on this one a little bit, but it's okay. I'm going to turn them over again anyway, so it's okay. I'm going to turn this down just a bit. And I'm just pressing them down just a little bit like pancakes. But they're a nice golden brown, so that's fine. And you can see they're a nice little golden brown, so they're good to go. And we can go ahead and start the next batch. There's a little piece that fell off. And this is the other one. I did turn it back over again so that that one side could go ahead and cook again. Let's see. Oh yeah, it's fine. Okay. I guess I can try to get 6 out of this. Now, when I'm making regular cornbread, or if I'm doing cornbread stuffing or dressing, I'll do that recipe that's on the side of that cornmeal container 2 or 3 times. It depends. Like if it's a big holiday, Thanksgiving or something like that, I'll do the recipe about 3 times. And then that way I only have to cook it 1 time and it'll last for the week, or probably more than that, and I can put it in the freezer. If you guys didn't know, dressing does freeze. You can put it in a Ziploc bag, drop it in the freezer, and when the next holiday or next meal you want to use it for comes around, just pull it out and defrost it and heat it back up in the oven. Put maybe just a little bit of water in it, just a couple of drops or something like that to rehydrate it, and put it in the oven with some aluminum foil, and then you have it for another day. So you can use it. I usually only do it twice, like meaning make it, freeze it, and then unthaw it, and then eat the rest like that. That's what I mean by twice. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and just finish these up this exact same thing, this exact same way. I have enough in my bowl that I can make one more, so we're going to have an extra. So I'll be right back with you guys with the finished meal. Okay guys, so this is the finished product. So here is the turkey ham, well, sliced glazed turkey ham. So yeah, that turned out really well, and it browned just right, so that's fine. And then this is like, I don't have to cook for maybe another 2 or 3 days, so that works out. And then here are the greens. Let me get the spoon and I can show you guys the smoked meat that's in there. And if you wanted to cook it down a little bit longer, it's a little late for me, so it's time to eat. But here's the smoked meat that's in there, and it just breaks up just like that. The only thing about glory greens, they're chopped down a little bit fine for me, but I mean, it's fine. It doesn't bother me a whole lot. If you pick them, you'll have bigger leaves. The glory greens, they're just chopped down a lot. And then here are the red beans back here. And then here is the rice, and it has been strained. And I also run it under cold water to get some of the starch off of it. And then let that drain, and then put it back in the pot and just put a top over it until I'm done with everything else. And then here are our little kind of sort of just our play on hot water cornbread. So they turned really nicely golden brown. So here are those. And I did go ahead and make one plate for you guys so that you can see like how I arranged it. Here are the greens, and I put smoked meat in the greens like that. Just mix it around in the plate. Well, on top of the greens on the plate. And then the red beans are sitting on top of the rice. And then here is the glazed turkey ham. So that turned out really well. I'm super tired, but I mean, I don't have to cook again for another couple days, so it's okay. Okay, guys, that's going to go ahead and wrap this up. So I really hope that you guys can utilize some of the different things that I was able to do today in the kitchen. So thank you guys so much for watching, and happy cooking and couponing with love. Bye.